Hello and welcome back. When it comes to The Shining, this isn't just a horror movie, it's a masterclass in tension, atmosphere, and psychological decay. Stanley Kubrick takes a simple premise, a family alone in a hotel, and stretches it until every hallway feels hostile and every silence feels loud. The film is especially effective because of its restraint. Despite its reputation, only a single on-screen death actually occurs in real time. Everything else, the violence, the ghosts, the horror, is either implied, remembered, or psychologically projected through the hotel itself. That choice is deliberate. Kubrick wasn't interested in jump scares or body counts. He was interested in dread, the kind that builds slowly, crawls under your skin, and doesn't leave when the credits roll. As always, this recap tells the entire story, start to finish, but we'll be pausing along the way to drop in behind-the-scenes facts, production details, and trivia that help explain why this movie is still being dissected more than 40 years later. I also want to let you know I do have a Patreon, where you can find my entire recap library, excluding my gaming videos. If you want deeper dives without algorithm limits, feel free to check it out. It's only a few dollars a month. And as I mentioned before, in the coming new year, I'll be reviving the Reset podcast. But with all that out of the way, let's check into The Shining. Our story starts with a tiny yellow Volkswagen Beetle winding its way through the majestic, yet foreboding, Rocky Mountains of Colorado. We glide over vast lakes, dense forests, and jagged peaks. We cut to Jack Torrance, a disheveled, aspiring writer and recovering alcoholic, driving to his job interview at the remote Overlook Hotel. Jack's face is stern, his eyes distant, hinting at the inner turmoil bubbling beneath his surface charm. In the hotel's opulent office, decorated with Native American motifs that subtly nod to the site's dark history, it was built on an Indian burial ground which is mentioned in passing. Jack meets the affable but cautious manager, Stuart Ullman. With his neat suit and professional demeanor, Ullman explains the caretaker role, maintaining the massive, luxurious hotel during its 5-month winter closure, when blizzards cut it off from all contact with the outside world. He warns of the psychological toll of isolation, recounting the gruesome 1970 incident where the previous caretaker, a man named Charles Grady, went mad, hacking his family to pieces with an axe before killing himself. What Ullman says is delivered, with no emotion, which contrasts with Jack's casual dismissal. Jack tells Mr. Ullman he can rest assured that's not going to happen with him. Jack assures him that his wife Wendy and son Danny will love the solitude. It'll give him time to write his novel, but Ullman's story plants the seed of dread, foreshadowing Jack's descent. Meanwhile, back in their Boulder apartment, we meet Wendy Torrance, a devoted but anxious housewife with a mousy demeanor and oversized glasses, chain-smoking as she talks to a pediatrician about Danny's recent episode. Danny, a wide-eyed 7-year-old with a bowl haircut, had a seizure while brushing his teeth, collapsing in front of the mirror. The doctor probes gently, and Wendy reveals Jack's troubled past, saying Jack's 5 months sober now, but 3 years ago, in a drunken rage after Danny messed up his papers, Jack accidentally dislocated Danny's shoulder. Wendy insists this, her voice trembling with loyalty and fear. Danny, recovering on the bed, converses silently with his imaginary friend named Tony, who lives in his mouth and speaks through Danny's finger in a gravelly voice. Tony warns Danny about the hotel, showing him terrifying visions. Torrents of blood gushing from elevator doors, flooding the lobby in slow motion, a recurring motif symbolizing repressed violence. Cut to closing day on October 30th. The family arrives at the Overlook in their Beetle, the hotel bustling with departing guests and staff. Ullman gives Jack and Wendy a tour of the sprawling interiors. The vast Colorado lounge with its high ceilings, Navajo-inspired rugs, and massive fireplace. The industrial kitchen stocked for winter. Wendy marvels at the luxury, but there's an undercurrent of unease in the echoing hallways. The famous opening aerial shots weren't originally planned to be that long or that slow. Kubrick insisted on extended helicopter footage to create a sense of inescapability before the story even begins. By the time the Torrances reach the Overlook, the audience already feels completely cut off from the world. The Overlook Hotel itself is a composite location, Built from multiple real-world inspirations and massive studio sets, Kubrick intentionally designed it to feel authentic while being architecturally wrong, which feeds into the audience's unease, even if they can't quite explain why. The hotel's exterior shots were filmed at the Timberline Lodge on Mount Hood in Oregon. However, none of the interiors were filmed there. The real Timberline Lodge looks nothing like the Overlook on the inside. The Overlook's interior cannot physically exist. Windows appear in rooms that should be surrounded by interior hallways. Corridors lead nowhere. The manager's office has a large window despite being located in the center of the building. The geography of the hotel changes between scenes. Even props and furniture subtly move between cuts. Kubrick did all of this on purpose. The Overlook isn't meant to be navigated, it's meant to disorient. The result is something the viewer might not consciously notice at first, but the brain notices anyway. Something feels off, and that feeling slowly builds into a constant low-burning tension that never fully lets up. Meanwhile, head chef Dick Halloran, a warm, grandfatherly man with a knowing smile, bonds with Danny over ice cream in the kitchen. Sensing Danny's gift, as they sit, he explains Shining, a psychic ability to read minds, see the past and future, and detect traces of events. Halloran says he and his grandmother used it to converse without words. He warns Danny that the hotel has its own kind of shine. Not things that anyone would notice, but things that only people who shine can see. Specifically, he cautions against room 237 and warns Danny to avoid going anywhere near that room. Danny asks if there's something bad in the hotel. Halloran replies cryptically, telling Danny a lot of things have happened in this hotel over the years, and not all of them were good. This small conversation stokes the fires of the supernatural lore, with Halloran's calm delivery contrasting the impending horror. As the staff leaves in a convoy, the Torrances are left alone. A month later, snow blankets the grounds, cutting them off from the rest of the world. Wendy and Danny enjoy the outdoors, initially. Danny rides his big wheel tricycle through the carpeted hallways. We follow in long, hypnotic takes that amplify the hotel's labyrinthine vastness, the sound of wheels thumping from carpet to hardwood, creating rhythmic tension. Jack, however, spirals into frustration at his typewriter in the lounge, staring blankly or typing sporadically. His face grows haggard, his temper short. Wendy interrupts cheerfully with breakfast. Jack snaps, complaining about interruptions, revealing his growing resentment. He tells her that whenever she comes in and interrupts him, she's breaking his concentration. Wendy backs off, hurt but submissive. Danny's visions intensify. While pedaling his tricycle, he encounters the ghostly Grady daughters. Two identical girls in blue dresses, holding hands in a hallway, staring blankly. They greet Danny, inviting him to play with them forever. Their words are intercut with quick flashes of their hacked bodies and pools of blood, axes nearby. Danny covers his eyes and they're gone. Tony warns him that it's just like pictures in a book and that it isn't real. Jack's madness accelerates. He bounces a tennis ball against the lounge wall obsessively, echoing Danny's earlier play but with aggressive force. Wendy and Danny explore the hedge maze outside, a massive snow-dusted labyrinth symbolizing the hotel's psychological traps, laughing as they navigate its twists. Inside, Jack stares at a scale model of the maze, his face looming over it, foreshadowing his pursuit. One day, a yellow tennis ball rolls mysteriously to Danny as he plays with toys outside room 237, the door ajar invitingly. Curious, he enters the green and purple suite, but we don't see what happens. Wendy hears Jack screaming from a nightmare in the lounge. She wakes him. He describes dreaming of axing her and Danny to pieces. Shaken, Wendy comforts him. Then Danny appears, bruised around the neck, sucking his thumb regressively. Wendy accuses Jack. As she cradles Danny, she flees from the room. Enraged, Jack storms to the empty gold room ballroom, a lavish space with Art Deco mirrors and chandeliers. Defeated, he slumps his head in his hands and says out loud that he'd give his soul for just a glass of beer. He mutters it again. Suddenly, the bar lights up, stocked with bottles, and a spectral bartender named Lloyd in a red jacket appears. Lloyd greets Jack smoothly. Jack orders bourbon on the rocks. They converse. Jack confides about the shoulder incident. Danny tossed important papers from his briefcase all over the room, and he grabbed the boy by the arm to stop him but pulled a bit too hard and dislocated his arm by mistake. He tells Lloyd that Wendy won't let him forget it. She blamed his drinking as the cause, and Jack toasts, making a joke about the last miserable months on the wagon. He takes a sip, breaking his sobriety. Wendy bursts in, hysterical, saying Danny said a crazy woman in one of the rooms strangled him. Jack, concerned but slurring slightly, says she's nuts. Convinced they are the only three in the hotel, he begrudgingly heads to room 237. Behind the scenes, the Gold Room sequences were some of the most technically demanding in the entire production. The massive ballroom did not physically exist as shown. It was created using a combination of set extensions, forced perspective, and precise lighting to make the space feel impossibly large and empty. The bartender Lloyd wasn't written as an aggressive manipulator. Kubrick instructed the actor to play him as calm, polite, and reassuring, because the hotel never forces Jack to do anything. It simply agrees with him. Also worth noting, Jack Nicholson's performance wasn't improvised chaos. Kubrick famously demanded dozens of takes, sometimes over 100, deliberately wearing actors down to strip away anything theatrical, even infamously tormenting actor Shelley Duvall into many mental breakdowns on set. So by the time you're watching Jack unravel, what you're seeing is real exhaustion, irritation, and repetition baked directly into the performance. This is the point where the movie stops being about a haunted hotel and becomes about a man being given permission to become his worst self. Strangely enough, Jack Nicholson even breaks the cardinal rule of filmmaking by looking directly into the camera multiple times throughout the film. Many fans believe this was intentional, a way of having Jack stare directly at the audience. In reality, Nicholson was often sneering at Stanley Kubrick himself, frustrated during long takes, but the effect remains unsettling, making it feel as if Jack is aware of us, the viewers, watching him unravel. Halloran, in his Miami apartment watching TV, senses Danny's distress telepathically. His face contorts in pain. He knows trouble's brewing. Jack enters the dimly lit room 237. In the bathroom, a curtain tub reveals a young, nude woman who rises seductively, stepping out to embrace him. They kiss passionately, but in the mirror, she's a rotting corpse, skin sagging, covered in sores. She laughs crazily, arms outstretched. Jack backs out in terror, locks the door, and returns to Wendy, lying, saying he didn't see anything. He blames Danny's bruises on self-infliction or imagination, refusing to leave after Wendy recommends it. He has an outburst, revealing his deep-seated anger and resentment, telling her to think about what it means if they leave, how it would make him look irresponsible, and how he would never be trusted with another job again. Later, after the argument, Jack returns to the Gold Room. It's now filled with ghostly 1920s partygoers in tuxedos and gowns, jazz music blaring. Jack drinks freely, but a passing waiter spills a drink on his jacket and leads him to the red-tiled men's room. The waiter is revealed to be Delbert Grady, polished and British. Jack recognizes him, reminding Grady that he used to be the caretaker here. But Grady denies it, saying that Jack is the caretaker. In fact, Jack has always been the caretaker. He claims the murders were corrections and urges Jack to correct his family, just as he did with his own. Jack, empowered, nods. Halloran, alarmed, calls the hotel but gets static, because the lines are down. He books a flight to Denver. Wendy, bat in hand, searches for Jack to propose leaving. In the lounge, she flips through his manuscript, only finding page after page of all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, typed in varying formats, a visual testament to Jack's growing insanity. Jack sneaks up behind her, asking how she likes it. Wendy swings the bat defensively as Jack mocks her, saying that he's not going to hurt her, then grimly threatens to bash her brains in. At the top of the steps, she swings one last time, cracking Jack on the head. He tumbles down the steps unconscious. Wendy then drags Jack to the walk-in pantry and locks him in. Awakening, Jack laughs, telling her that he sabotaged both the phones and the snowcat. In the pantry, Grady's voice berates him through the door, saying he fears Jack will have to deal with this matter in the harshest way possible. Jack pleads for release, saying he won't fail again, and the door unlocks supernaturally. Danny, in a trance, grabs a knife, chanting Redrum. He scrawls Redrum in lipstick on the bathroom door. Wendy wakes to axe blows on their suite door. In the mirror, Redrum reads murder. Jack hacks through. Wendy tries to barricade herself and Danny in the bathroom, slides Danny out the window into the snow. She tries to follow but can't fit. Jack axes the bathroom door, peeks through the hole, and quotes Johnny Carson.
"Here's Johnny!"
Reaching for the lock, he's slashed by Wendy's knife. Hearing a snowcat, Jack limps out. Halloran arrives, calling into the empty lobby. Jack ambushes him, axing his chest. Halloran slumps dead. Danny, hiding in a cabinet, screams, alerting Jack. Wendy wanders the hotel, witnessing the previously unseen horrors. It's surreal manifestations of the hotel's evil. Jack, limping with axe, pursues Danny outside as he struggles to follow him into the lit hedge maze. Danny runs ahead, leaving footprints, but cleverly steps backward in them to create a false trail, then hides. Jack, roaring, gets lost. He screams at Danny to come out. Danny cleverly escapes, reunites with his mother. They flee in Halloran's snowcat. Jack, exhausted, collapses in the maze, freezing overnight. His body stiffens in the snow, eyes wide in madness. The film closes with a slow zoom through the empty hallway to black and white photos on the wall. The date at the bottom reads July 4th, 1921. The photo shows Jack smiling eternally among revelers, implying he's trapped in the hotel's endless cycle. As the screen fades to black. In the end, The Shining isn't about ghosts in a hotel. It's about cycles, addiction, violence, resentment, and what happens when isolation removes the last barriers holding them back. Jack doesn't become something new. He becomes what he already was, with nothing left to stop him. Interestingly, Stephen King famously hated Kubrick's adaptation when it was first released. He felt the film stripped away the humanity of his characters, especially Jack Torrance, and replaced it with cold ambiguity. For years, King was openly critical of the movie. Over time, though, his stance softened. While King still prefers his original novel, he's acknowledged Kubrick's version as a powerful, if very different, interpretation. Not a replacement for the book, but its own thing entirely. That difference became even clearer with the 1997 TV miniseries, which King himself helped produce as a much closer, nearly one-to-one adaptation of the novel. While it stayed faithful to the source material, it never came close to achieving the same cultural impact or lasting popularity as Kubrick's film. And of course, the story didn't end there. Years later, Dr. Sleep continued the narrative, following an adult Danny Torrance, still haunted by the Overlook and his abilities. That's a story I'll be covering in the future. If you want even deeper behind-the-scenes details on The Shining, there's a great video already up on a channel called Weird Hollywood Movie Facts. It's a great video that you should check out for yourself. I'll leave a link in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching, and a special thank you to our channel members. 2025 has been a great year, and we've got even more horror content coming in 2026. I want to wish you all a very happy new year. Have a great week, enjoy the rest of 2025, and I'll see you in the next one.